Is that one going? Hey guys, Sunday night, 8 o'clock. We're a little behind schedule, but we're... Talk louder? Yeah. So it's 8 o'clock Sunday night. We're going to go live. We're going to do the same training. Matt Green, you're in. I'm trying to bring it up and see if I can get it going on my computer. The other thing that we're going to do new tonight is Robbie Schmidt's in, Mike Schulte's in, so some people are starting to roll in. The other thing I'm doing is I'm looking at two things. We're really getting techie tonight. We're live on Instagram as well, so I'm trying that for the first time. Have never done it. The problem I see with Instagram is that, and I guess it's not a problem, but Steph's filming me with that one. She's cold tonight, but so the thing with Instagram is we're gonna try it. We have different followers on Instagram. I think they're different platforms. So Shaldag is in. Good to see you. The thing about Instagram is once we're done with it, I think it vanishes. So it's kind of like a Snapchat. So you won't be able to go back and watch it later. But if you're watching it now, you'll be able to. And then if you want to watch it later and you're on Instagram, you can go to Facebook because Facebook will save it forever. So Jeff Forsberg is in, ready to listen from Missouri. Just started watching. Oh, we got our Instagram. We're having with the. She's got a bad speaker on her phone, so she's gonna get that fixed tomorrow. So maybe we can't do it on Instagram. So.
Wanna say bye then?
So Instagram people, we're gonna try this in the future, which is cool that it's cool that they followed along. Facebookers, we're still with you, but we're gonna try to do Instagram lives too. But Steph's phone doesn't work, so when we get that fixed. Now the other thing is, I'm gonna shut this off because I did have a couple ask me about volume. They said they couldn't hear that well, so I am gonna work on trying to figure out if there's a better way for me to do it volume wise. So if you guys can't hear, like always, let me know. But you can tell Spry is ready to go tonight. 2 hours probably later than what we normally feed her. So she's wound up. I just had her out. She went to the bathroom. She's excited. She's ready to go. I'm going to start out. You'll see I keep her on a little pillow when she's in this place because she has been quiet for the last probably 2-3 hours. She's been settled in here. I've let her out twice, I think, to go to the bathroom. She's definitely ready to eat. So I'm going to start out with sit. Last time when we did this, I think it was either Friday or Saturday, I'm not sure. But I had a real issue with her on recall going outside. And so I wanted to show you how well she was doing, and she really didn't do well. So I think that was good to see that. Now it was a reminder to me. Now I got something I want to work on with her. So I want her to work on recall and coming to me. I'm going to do it the same way early on as I did sit. I'm going to get her to come to me, and I'm going to give her a little kibble. And I'm going to get her to start understanding. I think what I can do is I can take recall and sit and kind of link them together. So what I'm going to work on tonight is actually recalling her across the room, and I'd like to get her to sit, and then I'll give her a kibble. So you can see she's trying to figure out, how do I speed this up? The excitement level, I'm just not going to let it affect me. I'm going to probably make her just kind of settle before I really do anything. So I'm going to look for a change in her behavior. So in the meantime, I'll break this kibble in half, and there's a nice little settle right there. So now I'm going to get started with her. So see her change. She actually sat down. She's not so nearly as whiny. So I'm going to get her to come to me. Sit. This, she does real well. She's done this now. So I'm going to get her to come to me. Come here. Sit. Good. Good. Little praise. No food on that one. Get her back over by me. Here. Sit. Sit. Good. Little praise. She really thinks the food's coming. So I'm substituting out a little bit of praise for food. Used to be always got food. Come here. Sit. That time she waited. She got her kibble. Sit. Good. Praise. No food on that one. So now what I'm going to do, we've got, because her attention span is so short, I'm going to try to get her to come out of there. But I've set myself up to fence her off. The distraction right now is Steph probably, but I'm going to try to get her focused. Sit. Come on. Sit. Good girl. Good girl. Come on. Come on. Sit. Good. So here's where I'm linking the two together. So what I'm trying to do is, because I had such an issue with her recalling to me outside, I'm going to try to fix it where I can, inside. So get her to come to you. Sit. Get her to sit, and now I'm giving her the food. So I'm combining two things. It's not just sit. It's got to be, she's got to come to me. Come on. Sit. Good. Good girl. Very good. Come on. No food on that one. Come here. Come here. Sit. Good. Look how quickly she's catching on. So now, if you on Saturday morning, I pushed this too far. Come here. Come on. Sit. Good. Good girl. Praise. Come on. Sit. Good. Give her kibble. Good girl. Saturday I pushed it too far. Friday I pushed it too far. I have a tendency to push things too far. Her attention span is really short. She's fading on me right now. Come on. Sit. Sit. Good. No. Good. So I want one more out of her, and that'll be it. Come on. Sit. New spot. Haven't done it here. When I mean here, like, come on. Stop it. Come on. Here's distraction. See? Sit. Good. And I'm done. Okay? So, everything about me right now wants to do that for like 3 minutes, 4 minutes. But what happened is, the last few days of doing this, I've realized I push it too far. I'm trying to get more out of her than her attention span will let me. So at that moment, she got distracted. She went to chew on Steph's toes. She went over by the door stopper. She wanted to bite on the door stopper. So I read that and I went, get the hell out of here. Let's end it on a solid note. Let's move on. So I got 1 or 2 more out of her, and that was it. And they were real solid. So that's what I'm looking to do. I'm trying to figure out for myself, trying to figure out how to get out of these things quicker so I don't run into that issue that I did. If you watch back, several videos back, you'll see I got into some bad spots. I went too long, and I had a little dog that she just got really checked out of what I was doing. And then I had to like kind of regroup her, recircle, get her back, try to have some success, and it just was tough. So I'm trying to learn myself and figure out just how short or how long her attention span is. Boy, tonight you guys got me in my comfy. You got the Pumas on tonight. Normally,
matching socks too.
I got 2 different socks on. Just came home from up north, so I got my sweatpants. Not everybody gets to see me in the sweatpants, so you guys are really.
Sunday over here.
You guys are really in for a treat. Okay, so I'm gonna set the bowl of food down, and again I'm gonna do the same thing.
Thanks, Mike.
Mecca?
No, Shelby. He said the camera operation's much better than a paper towel holder.
Yeah.
We're pretty fancy, you know.
So, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do the exact same thing that we've done. So the difference tonight was, to this point, the difference was we recalled a little bit. I did very few repetitions inside the pen. I've had a lot of questions come up about that pen. You know, what is there? There's nothing special about that pen. That's a Walmart special from 1990, I think. But it's just an enclosure. So what it's representing for me is control. I can get focus in there, and I can look. She could learn something. She learned to do something in that area. Now what I'm doing is moving it. So I'm just making it bigger. The area just went from that little pen area to this mudroom or laundry room area. Next, my hope is that she gets good enough and focused enough in there to work with me successfully, that I can bring her in here and have her not run all. If I brought her in here right now, she'd just go. She'd be all over the place. So don't go into spots where you can't get your behavior out of them because the behavior is not strong enough to overcome the distractions. So these are like mini micro versions of the big picture. And so when a lot of people ask questions about issues shed training, 90% or more are back to the root where they go, does it really good in my backyard, but out in the field it walks right by him, or he goes up and sniffs him and won't pick him up, or he picks him up and runs off, or does something different. Well, that is going from that pen to my whole house. I can't do that yet with her, but I'm going to take steps to get her there. So she's settled into my arms quite well. She's pretty relaxed. She's not fussing. I'm not hearing any noise out of her. She's moving around a little bit, but I also have 3 dogs, my wife with the camera, our daughter's sitting over there. There's kind of a lot going on tonight. So she's not fussing, but she is attentive to the other stuff. So I'm just going to wait. Her heart right now is racing a little bit. Physically, she's real relaxed, but she's pumping right now. So I'm going to wait until I get to where I want it to be. And then what I'll do is I'll put her down. I'll set her down to the ground. We're going to take the next step with that. We've been working on it now for a couple days. Like I can feel her twitching right now. She shakes every once in a while. So it's too much. I'm going to make her settle before I go to the next step. But feet have to hit the ground. She doesn't move forward or back. I'm actually going to ask her to put her butt on the ground, and then I'm going to put some more time to it tonight. I think I got probably 3 or 4 seconds out of it the last time. The time before that, it was 2. The time before that, it was just the butt hit the ground. The time before that, it was just her feet locked up. So incrementally, we've slowly added stuff to this the whole time. We're going to continue to do that. But I didn't, so we did this last night. We were out of town this weekend. On Saturday, we got an extra video in that Saturday morning because we did have some issues with our sump pump on Friday night, but got that squared away, went up north. Everything stayed virtually the same. I was in a completely different location with a whole bunch of other people, another dog, a lot of situations, a lot of things in the situations were changed, but what I was consistent on with her was this stuff, feeding, fed her in a different spot, but I made her lay in my arms calm, and I made her put her feet on the ground, I made her butt hit the ground, and then I sent her to eat. Crate training was a little bit different this weekend because we had crates in different spots. I didn't have that little fenced-in area. So we did some things different because we had to, but we stuck with making sure that we didn't just stop all training. We continued on with what we could. We just did it in different locations, and I had realistic expectations. I didn't expect her to do as well there as she did here. Someday, soon, she hopefully will transfer this behavior everywhere we go. So she's settled in right now pretty good. She's still a little bit, see how she's almost shivering with excitement. But her heart has slowed down greatly. And she hasn't shivered since I last said that. There she did. So I think she's all right now. I'm going to set her down. All 4 got to hit the ground, no movement. Notice as I set her down, we kind of engage these wheels. Well, the wheels hit the ground, they better stop. Nope. That was a back pedal. I think she went into a sit real quick, but I didn't even let her get to the sit. I don't like the feet hitting the ground and she's moving immediately. She does have a tendency to want to go a little bit back, little half step back and rock back to sit. I'm okay with that as long as I feel like it's under control. That one I didn't think so. She went down and no, I'm not going to. So I picked her right up immediately, reset it. Nope. That's an escape. She's backpedaling going, I'm out of here. And she's starting to anticipate, if I backpedal, the good things will happen. No, we're going to make her be a lot steadier than that. See how she almost went? She almost went and she didn't. If she had moved at that moment, I'd have picked her back up. She kind of flinched a little bit. I didn't pick her up because she didn't move. But if she had, I would have picked her back up and reset it. Now I'm going to let her just eat just a little bit. Then I'm going to have her do the whole thing over again. Because now is when now is when the work's going to get done for this part of it. The work was getting done when I got her to sit nice and quick and I had a couple good repetitions. That's where I feel like we gained something back here. This is where I feel like we're going to gain something. I'm going to let her eat, bring her back, reset it. Let her eat, bring her back, reset it. If she makes a mistake, I'll correct it. That's okay, because they have to make a mistake to understand what they're not supposed to do. So I don't fear mistakes. I want them to, as long as I'm there to catch it, correct it, and have them learn from it. So she's a little antsy right now. That's nice. I won't even put her on. When she starts wiggling that much, reset it. No. Reset it. There, I timed it with a no. That mistake will tell, I bet from that mistake, she'll do better now. Because she may have been kind of clouded in her mind and went, I'm not exactly sure what I'm supposed to do, but let's try sitting down and see if this works. Well, I need them to understand why they're doing it and what they're not supposed to do. Spry. And I send her on her name. Okay? I'm going to, this next one I'm going to change slightly because I feel like we're getting to a point now where she's starting to make sense. She's starting to get this. She's backing in to sit right away. She looked at me twice that time. Tells me she's starting to understand it. I corrected her once. She responded well to the correction. So now I'm going to go, how far along do I want to go? Because really, I'm not in the right position yet. I'm never going to send my dog on a retrieve between my legs. I'm never going to line him up like this. Now I do this to start out with because when I set him down, it's a lot easier for me to set him down, pick him up, set him down, pick him up, set him down, pick him up. It's very, very easy for me to do that. It's hard for me to do it on the side, on the side, on the side. When I send a dog on a retrieve down the road, when I get to the point, next step with this, I want to line out over the top of them. So this time, we're going to change it slightly. And we're going to just add another link to our chain. This is getting her in the right spot to send her. So I'm gonna make this more realistic to what we're eventually going to get to. So now, anticipating how she'll react to this, it'd be super awkward. She probably will make mistakes. I'll probably have to correct it a couple times, I'm guessing. Because now, she's outside of me. It's not like she's in here. She feels this. She looks up at me like that. She knows right where I am. I'm on both sides of her. I kind of got her. I'm holding on to her without touching her. Okay, so she feels that, and I feel it. Now I'm going to move it over, and look what's on the left. Nothing. She's got all sorts of stuff over there. So let's see how she reacts to it. It's likely she'll make a little mistake with it, and I'll have to correct it. And then what I'm going to do is hopefully let her understand, just do the same thing I was doing in between your legs. It's just this time you're on the one side, outside. Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. That one I like. Warm me up with some thumbs on that one, because that was perfect. She actually responded a lot better than I guess I anticipated. So that's good. Was it dumb luck? It might have been. Was it she's really smart, she's learning? It might have been. I don't know. But because she did it right one time, I'm not going to go, oh, she's got that down. Well, let's go to the next thing. Let's just keep moving. I'm going to do that over and over and over. And eventually she's going to make a mistake with it. And then I got to be there to correct it and make her understand what not to do. It's a lot like place training. One of the people last week messaged about place training. They said, every time I put my dog in the place, lays down, goes to sleep. It was a young dog, and he had done it immediately right from the start. He goes, so now what? And I go, that's great. Wait for a mistake, because it's going to come. If you just decide, she's place trained, she must just do it naturally, and then you decide that you're going to walk and leave the room or do something where you really, really trust her, I guarantee you the dog will make a mistake. So I told him, I said, put her on there. Don't change a damn thing you're doing. Let her do what she's doing. But then when she gets up, take her out to the bathroom and then bring her back in, or I don't know if it's him or her, put her back on the bed and do it again. And eventually that puppy is not going to be that tired, and eventually that puppy is going to test the perimeters, and eventually the puppy is going to step off, and when she does, correct, put her back, correct, put her back. So she understands she's going to have to make a mistake before she really understands what it is she's supposed to be doing. She's just doing it, and you're getting lucky by it. So continue to praise that and reward that, but wait, because the mistake will come. I think you have to make mistakes in training. The dog has to make mistakes in order for them really to learn, because we have to be able to correct. We also have to be ready to praise at the right point and have them understand what it is that they're getting praised for. What are they getting rewarded for? What are they getting the attention for? You can screw up by giving them attention or praise at the wrong time for doing the wrong thing. It's always directly connected back to their last action. So let's reset this one last time. I want to do it again on my left. Another difference is I stood straight up. Spry. Good girl. Very good. Difference was I used to hang over them and be real close and all that. That time, I stood right up. So I'm separating from her. I'm making her go. She's on a little bit of an island out here, all by herself on the left-hand side. He stands up, so his hands aren't even by me anymore. What is she understanding to trigger her to go eat? My hands. I'm lining her out, snapping my fingers. This right here is my safety on my shotgun. The safety goes off, good things happen. Well, when the hand comes out, good things are going to happen. She's starting to connect and understand that right away. So this is where we're forming this. This is going to lead us to down the road, long, long ways, lining them out and making a retrieve. Our shed dog, we're going to have an antler dummy that we're going to line them out to make a retrieve on. Our gun dogs are bird dogs, bumpers. This little puppy, we won't even worry about lining her to start out. We're going to make retrieves with her probably this week. I'm going to start out. I'm going to show you guys how I do that. I'm going to be using a balled up sock. That's it. So I'll explain why when we get there. But balled up sock is what we're going to use. She's going to do shed hunting. She's going to do bird hunting. She's going to do all sorts of stuff. She's probably going to work at our local school with Taylor, her mom, as a therapy dog. So when we get her into that, how are we going to get there? Look how quickly she ate. So she just cleaned up her bowl. This is another drill. This is something that we're gaining. I'm going to grab a bed real quick. This is something that we're gaining in our training. We're gaining the idea that our dog eats quickly. And that paid off. You want me to grab it? That paid off for us this weekend because I was kind of in a rush to get going up north and I had to feed her. So I fed her and she ate real quickly and I was ready to go on the road, 10 minutes or less. Well, part of that came from us feeding her every day like this, watering the food down, doing stuff that will help us, thank you, doing stuff that will help us to get her to process food quickly. So now the next step for us is always we're going to put her on place. Yep, I got to be careful I don't cover the mic here. Our next step for us is we put her on place and we let her settle in. And then she's going to fall asleep. It might take her a little bit. She'll fall asleep. Now, one thing I'm concerned about coming off of this weekend is we had pretty sloppy place training up there. It was more relaxed this weekend. I was nowhere near as strict with the dogs, and she didn't place train to the same level or degree that we do normally. So she probably got off her bed a couple times without me even knowing about it because there were other people up there. And so my fear is that there may be a bad habit that we might have picked up this weekend, and it will show itself quickly, and when it does, we're going to have to correct it. So let me start going through. First off, welcome everybody. We've got great numbers for a Sunday night. If you guys are new to this, this is Spry. She's 9 weeks old. She had a birthday on Friday. We have been documenting her training just about daily. I don't think we missed very many days. Lots of blue thumbs making me feel good. We've been documenting her training, and we're going to continue to do that. But we've been working on more recently sit. We've been working on steadying her up. We've been working on place training. We're working on all these little foundational things that we're going to build this solid big platform. And then from there, we'll be able to triangle up, if you will, to the more specific skill set stuff, the hunting stuff. Oh, Did you guys do something? I imagine all these little likes and all this stuff. I'm waiting. I figure my daughter's probably doing it, but
it's a little delayed on real life.
oh, so maybe I don't know what.
So something you said
I don't know what sparked it, but so that's what we're doing, guys. So if you're new to this, we invite you to come back to it. We've created a really nice base of folks that are here consistently, and what I've really gotten excited about is seeing some of their dogs. I've gotten more text messages, more emails, more messages through social media, tons and tons of stuff where people are actually having success with their dogs. So that is what the point of this is to try to help you with your dog. So the other thing that we do a lot of, if you're new to this, is we do a lot of questions and answers, especially after we get done feeding. It's an easy opportunity for me to catch up on a lot of this stuff. So some of it you might have asked it a while ago, and I apologize, I'm just getting to it now. But so I'm going to scroll back up. I'm going to start working through. Welcome. Nicole is in, and Mike. Now, my question to you guys is, are you together when you watch this, or are you watching on one phone? I imagine you're probably side by side, pretty romantic Sunday night, watching some DogBone live, but just like us, a lot like us, says my wife. So, Alan Harmon's in. Welcome, Alan. Alan is in regular.
if it's easier when they can see you when you're talking, or if they gotta.
She wants me to ask you guys as a group if it's easier to see me when we're talking like this or watch her. The value, I think, is watching her is you see the reactions and you hear my timing. So that's my feeling on it. But you guys, she thinks I should ask you guys what you prefer. If the dog falls asleep, I won't make you watch her sleeping. I'll switch it. But I think it's important to see this part of it. But you guys let us know. Jeff Forsberg, both the Forsbergs are in. Boy, there's love is in the air tonight. A lot of couples watching this. Valentine's Day coming up. Everybody's getting excited. Everyone got their loved ones their antler scent, and it's romantic. I'm kidding. Okay, just started watching. Can't wait to watch. Natalie, Sue, welcome. Like I said before, I think the more you watch, and what I would recommend is going back, and I would look at some of the old ones. If you jump in right now, I think you'll get stuff out of this. If you watch it, the changes that have taken place, I think it'll be much more valuable to you. That's the nice part about Facebook. They're all going to be saved. Eventually, they'll all get moved to our YouTube. We tried to do it tonight and couldn't, but we're gonna try to also work through the Instagram platform for our lives as well. So that's another avenue. The bad part about Instagram, it's gonna get deleted right away. So Spry sounds excited to be back. She was jacked. Watching from Ontario, Canada. Jay, I didn't know you were Canadian. We have several Canadians, I think, that are following this. Obviously Shed's up there, ridiculous. I've actually gotten a couple messages from guys talking about possibly going up there. I would really love to do that, but thank you for watching, Jay, all the way from Canada. Megan's in. Megan and Chris were having a romantic DogBone evening. I was talking with Chris earlier tonight. Megan and Chris are friends of ours that have a twin sister to Spry here. And one of the things that I asked Chris to do, Chris called me the other day. We talked about some stuff that he was going through with Fee. Fee was having a hard time on recall. That is something that I found out I'm having a hard time with late last week. That was part of what we were working this morning, or the very beginning of this video. Some of that recall work, that's what I was talking about. That's why, because we had some major issues with it. So Chris and I talked about it, and I'll explain it more, but Chris is going to send me a picture of what we talked about, what he's done to try to create a situation that's going to help him with his recall. I may have to do that. I may figure out ways to do it here in the house, other ways. But Megan Smith, hello from the Youp. Our Youp are friends, man. So we got that coming. Megan, I told Chris to maybe talk to you about getting us a good picture of that. So your volume is perfect. Great, Kaylee. I appreciate it. If there is issues, let me know, guys, because I'll figure out a better way of doing this. Drusilla, Justin Schmidt. Good to see you following, man. Haven't talked to you in a long time. Joe joined in. Aaron Garlock, can't wait until the April. Aaron's coming to a workshop. We've got a couple workshops, guys. April is full. That's the one here at our headquarters. Buffalo County still has a few spots. So the west side of the state, we've got a workshop out there in May, third week in May. If you want more information on the workshop stuff, you can go to our Facebook page, scroll down, there's some flyers. I should repost them, and I will this week, with more information. Someone's too tempting over here. So this is why I want to show you guys, because I want you to see this. You know, they're not all angels all the time, but as she works herself up here, she's going to have to just realize I'm not going to pay any attention to her. She's not going to get any affection. She's not going to get any reward until we get a change. And when we get the change, then she'll get some praise. Chris Borgman, that's not a bad change, but the only reason she is because Steph's over there and she's distracted, so I'm not rewarding it yet. Can you explain why you don't use her name more with commands? I know you like to send her with Spry, but when you are calling her, you don't call her by her name. So right now, the reason I'm not using her name much is because she doesn't know her name. What I'm going to start doing is I like to precede commands with her name so she understands I'm talking to her, especially when we get into group work and I've got other dogs around. The thing is she doesn't understand anything yet. She doesn't know what sit means. That's why I just started saying the word sit. So what I'll do is I'll incrementally get to the point where a word or a tone is associated with an action, and then I'll start introducing the name prior to it. So Spry right now doesn't mean anything to her. So for me to Spry, I'm not connecting it to anything. Now I send her on the name right now because that is going to be her command for her to line and go. That's her release. So that's the only reason I'm using that right now. Good question, Chris. When I do, there's a change. Good. She's going to settle a little bit better than that before we really give her a change. But so when I start getting her to sit well for me, then I will proceed it with Spry. And the other thing is as this goes along, she'll start to figure out what her name is. Right now, me just babbling Spry with no value to it isn't helping me. So tone, words don't mean much to them. Tone means a lot. I'm the same way with my pup. I'm learning to cut it off earlier though. Yeah, that I think he's talking about attention span. When I first started this out, guys, she had a really short attention span. I have a tendency in the past week to overrun her attention span. Gets me in trouble. Then I got to figure out how to bail myself out and get out of it with a win. And you always want to end whatever you're doing with a positive and a win. So I had to learn. When she does well, I kind of want to keep going. And what I need to understand is where her attention span falls off. So tonight was a lot shorter. I think it was percentage-wise a lot better as far as success. I'm going to, yep, Trevor's coming to the workshop. I think Trevor's coming from Tennessee, aren't you, Trevor? So this camera operator is much better than the paper towel holder. That's true, and better looking as well. Nice mounts. Justin Michael, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Derek joined in. Thank you. Shouldn't be making me choose between The Walking Dead and DogBone. I don't even know what The Walking Dead is, Trevor. I'm just bummed because Barnwood Builders apparently isn't on Sundays anymore. That was my go-to. Krista got in on it. Welcome, Krista. Nicole Schulte. When you're at home, is Spry always in the pen or kennel? Do you ever give the pups free rein? Great question. Someone else asked me about it today. Another person emailed me about it this weekend. So the question of free rein, no, I do not give the dogs free rein because they're just little babies and they'll get in trouble and they'll make mistakes, and I don't want to set up dogs to fail. So where are the dogs with us? They're either on their place, which I believe is in a safe, under controlled spot. They're in that little pen area if I think she's going to be all right in there, which I use that. I use it as kind of an extension of this place, but a little less formal. Or in the crate. And I'm shifting more to the crate lately because she's gotten to be very settled in the crate, and she looks at the crate as a really safe spot. So she has proven to me that she's okay in there. The way I got her okay in there is I left the crate in the pen with the door open. And the dog learned to go in there and lay down and sleep. No problem. She kind of liked it, actually. A lot of times you'd find her in there sleeping. She'd come out. Then she'd go to the bathroom, so I had to immediately let her outside. The thing that's nice about the crate, and now that she's 9 weeks old and she's starting to build up her ability to hold it from a bathroom standpoint, the nice part about the crate is she's going to do everything in her power to not have an accident in there. Where if I had her in the pen, she'd just go to the other side of the pen and go to the bathroom because it's not where she's sleeping. That crate, she does not want to make a mess in there. if you are able to use that from early on to your advantage, it makes housebreaking extremely easy. If you have dogs that start having accidents in the kennel, they think it's okay, and then it becomes really tough. So I do everything I can to avoid accidents in that kennel. So my dogs are on their place, they're in their in the little pen area, they're in their crate, or they're with me 100%. I'm focused on them. I cannot be distracted. As soon as and I'm a busy guy, I'm a busy body. My mind goes really fast, and my body tries to keep up. So if I start going in a direction where I can't pay 100% attention to this pup, I guarantee you she's going to get in trouble. So I don't allow it to happen. So really a simple life for them at this point. And they actually, I think some people go, oh, that's not fair. They should really run around. Run around and form a bunch of bad habits is all you're doing. So you're making your training a lot harder. And the other thing is I think here's why I like doing this. And I've had people come up to me at, we do a lot of Whitetails Unlimiteds, right? Dinners, events. So we were just at one the other week. She was 7 weeks old. That received correction because there was so much temptation to come off and her foot almost touched. I'm going to correct that. I'm not going to allow it. There's a change. Good. Very good. That's what I'm looking for. Response like that. So when we're at that Whitetails Unlimited event a couple weeks ago, 600 people there, and this little puppy laid on her bed. Look on her page. Look on some of her pictures way back. She did really well, and she loved it. She did a nice job. She got a lot of love. She got petted a lot and all that stuff. There's no way I could have done that if I didn't have a dog that was under control like this. And she's just getting started, but some of our older dogs, if any of you guys have ever seen them, without having really solid control, good obedience is what it amounts to, we can't take these dogs to the places we go to. So with that, if they have that, look at the love they get. Look at the attention they get. They get petted more in one night than most dogs get petted in a year. So the way, and that's good, they love that. The only way they get to do that is if they earn it. Hon, that smoke is coming out of the fire. Could you push that wood back? Thank you. We're smoking ourselves out here, guys. So let's see. Finally caught another live video. Love these. Stephanie, thanks for following along with us. This is the hardest part for me. My pup is food crazy. She barks at me while I'm preparing her food. I'm getting a sit for a few seconds now. Good. So if the dog's barking at you for when you're getting the food ready, don't feed him. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'm going to push the logs back. You see, Steph didn't respond quick enough for me. Yeah, well, good luck with me on that. One-handed too, not bad. All right, so sorry about that, guys. Had to take care of the house here. This is the hardest part. So Jay, what I would not do is if that pup sits there and barks at you, that's a pretty bratty move. I would not allow it. I wouldn't feed her. I'd make her wait. I'd wait for a change. I'd wait for a change, like I did tonight. I wasn't going to give her much attention when she was in that pen until she stopped barking and jumping and yapping. And as soon as she did, we got on with it. But if I hadn't asked her to make that little bit of a change, I think what I would do is I'd have a dog that sees that as an opportunity, and that right away we're forming the wrong habit at that point. Up 76, Matt. I think I saw. Now I know what you're talking about. Numbers, yeah. I think we for Sunday night we're pushing pretty good numbers here. Jeff, good evening. Jeff has been emailing me. We've been emailing back and forth. I think one of his I might have emailed back and forth with him tonight yet. Good evening, Jeff. Kim and Terry are in. Tim Woods, thumbs up to you. Tim from Ohio, I think, right, Tim? If this is the same Tim Woods, he is a tracking guy. He's got some really nice hounds. Hope I'm not real late. John, I'm not sure when you got in. We've gone so far backwards in place. He's worse than the first day. He turns it into a game. As soon as he's on, he hops off and runs 20 times in a row. I've tried holding him like with the food to calm him down, but it doesn't help. Any suggestions? Yeah, you got to be sharper, Mike. So this goes. So it's turned into a. So here's a really good example of like things going backwards. Things can go backwards and spiral out of control pretty quickly. And so bad habits are formed just as quick as good ones. Boy, I don't know what happened there. A lot of thumbs coming. So I guess this is delayed. So what you need to do, Mike, is reset it just like you would for the very first time. So what I would do is I'd set that pup up in, I'd maybe take the bed, I'd maybe put it in this corner, and I would sit just the other side of it, or stand just the other side of it. So I'd tuck it into this corner. I'm going to show you how to do it. So what I would do is I'd take the bed, I'd tuck it in the corner just like this. I move the rugs because I don't want this to be distracting. So I would tuck it in the corner. I would move the towel because I don't want the towel here. It's just something to get distracted in. So I'm going to put it here. I'm not going to put it close enough that they can touch the cabinets or the wall or whatever it is. So get yourself in a corner and then stand right here. And now that dog has nowhere to go. So you set that pup on the bed, and if that pup jumps off, I'm going to pick it up right by the scruff of the neck, and I'm going to set it back up and reset it. If it jumps off again, I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to reset it. Jumps off again, I'm going to pick it up and reset it. Jumps off again, pick it up, reset it. You might have to do this, Mike, 100 times in a row. I don't care how long it is until you get the change. And as soon as you get the change and the dog gets to the edge and didn't jump off, the next thing you do is you're right there to be as quick as you were to correct it. You're that quick to say, good boy, good boy. That's it, good boy. That's all he needs to know. Now, you can see I might be a little too close to the cabinets. It's going to create an issue. Set them up for success. Slide it over a little bit. So physically, Mike, you got to set yourself up for success and eliminate these failures. And when you get it, recognize it and outlast them. Boy, I don't know what I said, but everyone's hearting. Love it. You guys warm my heart every time you click one of those. Why do you want the dog to eat quick? Is that good for them? I don't know that it's bad for them. I want them to eat quick because I travel a lot and I don't have time to have dogs eat for 20, 30 minutes. So when we're traveling and we got to feed, we're feeding and they're eating. So I want dogs to eat like efficiently. I don't want them to dawdle. I don't want them to eat a little kibble and then move away and come back. And it's time to eat. They're going to eat. Irv's in. We just love your videos, Kaylee. I love that you love them. Like Nicole's question. Hope I answered it. So much of what you and your family teaches us is about patience and discipline. You speak all the time about what to look for in training methods, but I'd like to know more. I'd like to know what tips you have for us on what to do when frustration can overcome discipline and how we become better at staying both focused and patient. We are learning so much from you guys on this. Keep up the great work. Jeff, great question. Okay, so, and you bring up a good point. So you bring up a lot of good points. So let me break it down as best I can. I talk about patience all the time because I think patience is the most important part of dog training. If you don't have it, you're going to struggle. Now, I think it also transfers into just about everything we do, not outside of dogs as well. So I become a better husband, I become a better dad, I become a better employee, I become a better boss, I become a better everything, I think, when I get now all these little yellow faces. What's that all about? So with patience, I think patience helps us. I think it's the one thing that we really lack today. Our society lacks it. And so as a trainer, the thing that I've realized is there's no way to speed train dogs. You can't do it. It doesn't work. So what it does for me is it allows me to understand that I have to be more patient. Now, what tips do you have for us when it comes to frustration? Frustration, I get really frustrated, and if you watch some of the videos, now I've gotten better at it over the years because I've realized the quicker and the easier I control that frustration, the quicker I see improvement and I get to move forward. Dogs read us. Here's one for you. Dogs read us better than we can read them. So if you come home from a rough day at work and you're in a pretty poor mood, I'm going to correct. I'm going to correct that. I don't want that nose going down to the ground with that temptation. So if you come home and you've had a rough day at work, and good, there's a change. Very good. And you're not feeling real good about life in general. It might have nothing to do with your dog, but you're just not feeling good about stuff that's going on. Probably not the best time to take the dog out to work with them, because your frustrations will show, your dog will sense it, your dog will be much less likely to connect with you, trust you, have the feel that you need for both you and the dog feeling you and you feeling the dog. So frustration, I sometimes really have to take a deep breath and just go and take a step back. And sometimes the best training is to stop training. Sometimes the best training is to put the dog up. Sometimes the best training is to not work the dog at all at that moment. So if you can't control it yourself, you certainly won't get anywhere with the dog. So I think that is something that is a self-awareness thing. I think you have to figure out and be aware of when you're pissed, don't go training. When your dog wears you out, watch the video the other day when the dog ran away from me in the backyard and won't come back to me. My whole point of that started out with, I want to show you guys how well she's coming in. Because a lot of people ask questions about when you let the dog out to go to the bathroom, dog won't come back in. So how do I fix that? So I'm such a good trainer, I'll just show you how that's done. Well, I take her out there and I go to bring her back in and she looks at me like I'm nuts and takes off running the other direction. So I go, oh, that's okay, I'll fix that. Come on, come on, come on, come on. And the dog doesn't come, the dog doesn't come, the dog doesn't come. So here I am live and pretty embarrassed at that moment, and I go, okay, I can really get pissed and start hollering at her. If I want her to come to me and I get pissed and I start hollering at her and yelling at her, how inviting does that sound to you? Would you want to come to me if I were just yelling at you? Absolutely not. But everything about me emotionally at that point wanted to yell at her. So I really had to, I might say, you come here, you little son of a, whatever it is, but I got to have that tone like it's inviting and it's something I want her to do, and I clap and I get all excited. And when she finally did come to me, she came flying by like a bolt of lightning, and I grabbed a hold of her and I said, okay, I caught you. And then I said, deep breath, and I said, here's something I need to work on. So tonight we started that with recall with a little bit of food. It's the first time I've done that. So assess where your weaknesses are, your problems are, and start working on them. Start fixing those. That's how I feel you're going to be able to keep moving forward with your training. So let's see. So the other part of your how we become better at staying focused and patient, that's a life question. You know, I think you have to, the focus part I think is awareness. Be aware of that the dog's attention span is so short. So don't push it too far, because you want to get in and have success and get out and move on, and then you can add to it the next day or later on that day. But so I think that's part of it. And then the patience part, man, if I had the answer to that, I'd be kicked back on a beach right now, retired. That's something I'm searching for too, all the time. So trying to figure out how to become more patient. Dog trainers got to do it. Separate phones, same room. Oh, it's romantic. Nicole and Mike are watching DogBone together. Thanks, Mike. Welcome to Green Bay. It's great to watch her settle. Cole, welcome to Green Bay. I'm glad to be home. Glad to be back. This is great. I want to get a dog for shed hunting, but want to learn more before I get started. Greatly appreciate your work, Jeremy Miner. I'm glad you're following, man. This is the point. That's the point of this, guys, is to try to help people be able to train or work with their own dogs. We're training the trainer as much as we are the dog, always. Okay, so that's not just right now. That's all the time. So I'm learning as a trainer. If I stop learning, if I get to the point where I go, oh, I know everything, huge mistake, man. You got it. I'm constantly trying to learn myself. I learn a little bit with every dog. I listen to as many people as I can about training. I read about as much as I can. I'm not a big reader, but I'll try to get as much information. And some of the stuff I learn, I actually learn it and go, that's not going to work for me. So just because I don't agree with it necessarily, I still might be able to learn something from it and take it away. So I recommend all of you guys to do that. Watching Spry while you talk is extremely helpful. Good. I'm going to I like watching the dogs so we can see the corrections. Perfect. So this goes back to we were interested to find out if we should spin this around or not. She's a lot better looking than I am anyway. So Nathan is in. Welcome, Nathan from Iowa. We like watching Spry. The whole Smith family's watching tonight. Oh boy, I told you, pop the popcorn. Put on a pot of coffee. Good evening, Nick. Nick, we had some emails back and forth today. Dog looks better and has matching socks. Yeah, you're right, Lyle. Hey, long weekend, man. Came Friday night, some pump was out. I'm happy to have socks on. I don't really care that they match right now. I know you're kidding, but how do you get her to stay on the kennel bed? I'm assuming you mean the cot, Stephanie. Place training. So go back to when we first started with her. That was the whole point of, that was actually how our live videos started, was we started showing some place training. We've since grown it because her training has expanded. I started on place first and foremost because it's such a valuable thing to me. So we started doing this. Little pup jumps off. If you listen back a little bit, Mike Schulte is going through it right now and he's having some problems. So what I explained to him was the same thing I would do with a pup for the first time. Pup jumps off over and over and over again. Pick him up and put him back on. Pick him up, put him back on. Put him back. Look for a change. We have a puppy DVD. It's called Building a Solid Foundation. We talk about heel, sit, stay, come when I call you. 4 things. It's 2 discs. It's over 2.5 hours. It's a lot of information. It's a lot of content. One of the chapters in that DVD is place training, and I use an 8-week-old puppy, Old Dan from our friends over at Raised Hunting down in Iowa. Old Dan is 8 weeks old, and he is filmed live place training for the very first time. Filmed live. It's filmed, so it's on the DVD. But it takes about 10 minutes for that dog to settle down and not jump off of it. And as soon as it does, I'm there to praise it for him to understand. So it takes different amount of time for different dogs, but it's consistency and repetition forming a habit. And that line right there, repetition and consistency forming a habit, can apply towards any training we're doing, any and every. So place training, that's the steps we take. But we do a whole chapter on that in our DVD, the Foundation DVD. So if anyone's got pups, that one's first and foremost. So many people ask, where do I get started? I want to have a shed dog. I tell people, puppy training DVD, build a solid foundation. Because I think you need to have a foundation if you want to hunt your dog. I don't care what you're hunting for. The foundation applies to everything. So any recommendation for controlling shedding? Never owned an inside dog before. The last 2 labs I owned were outside and shedded horribly. I think they all shed a little bit differently. Mine shed as well. I think food can help. I think regular brushing or relatively regular brushing can help minimize. My recommendations to anyone is hard floors and a broom, because I wear the brooms right out. But food can help. That I think you see the impacts of food in their coats. I think it can help. I think some shed more than others. I've got some that shed a lot. I have some that don't. Do you also train them for tracking wounded deer? Absolutely, Teacup. 99% of the dogs I train right now do both sheds and tracking, and a great percentage of them are also doing upland, gun dog work. We've got one, Taylor, the mom of this dog. She's the Whitetails Unlimited mascot, so she shed hunts and tracks. I personally hunt with her. She's a personal dog, so I do upland and waterfall with her. She does all the gun dog stuff, handling and all that. Quarters and casts, just like a pheasant dog would. So we do grouse. I haven't hunted quail with her yet, but someday we will. But so upland, gun dog stuff, shed hunting, tracking. She's certified as a therapy dog and works with kids that have autism. So she goes into a local school, works with a bunch of kids. Steph has taken her through the certification process, so she goes into hospitals with her. She goes into old folks' homes. She goes into a whole bunch of places. So can you do more than one thing with them? I think you should. I think it makes them better the more you do. Thanks. Didn't know if she was recognizing her name yet. So we're back to that first question, Chris. That was a good question. I have a wine mix. I've begun working and I struggle a little. I struggle too, Kim, so don't worry about struggling. The question is, how do you handle the struggling? You're going to run into issues. You're going to run into problems. You have to work through them. the question isn't are you going to have problems? The answer is yes, you will. It's how do you deal with them? That's why I'm using young dogs. That's why we use young dogs in seminars. That's why we're showing you this stuff, because this little dog has made mistakes live. She's going to make mistakes because that's life. She's going to run into problems. The question is, what do you do when that happens? That's what we're hoping to get out of this. So you're going to keep watching, Kim. You're going to see big with keeping her interested. Attention span. Sounds like you got an issue with attention span and focus. Guess what? So does Spry. Spry can't do recall and sit for more than, I would say right now, 2 minutes. Okay? That goes very quickly. I want to go further with her. I want to do it longer. The problem is when I have done it longer, we really don't get much out of it. It kind of goes the opposite direction. So it's me becoming aware of just how long her focus is and getting out with a win. Get something quality. Get the hell out of it when you're there, when the timing is right. Do you let older dogs have free time around the house? My older dogs follow the same rules as my young dogs. They're on their place, they're in their kennel, or they're with me. And my old dogs are with me a lot more because I just tell them to heel and they walk around with me. And as long as they're under control, we're not getting into any trouble. If I just let the dogs free roam, guarantee you they're going to get in trouble. You can't take kids and put them into a room full of toys and go, don't make a mess. I'll be back in a couple hours. They're going to get in trouble. They're going to make a mess. So it goes back to setting dogs up for success and avoiding failure. So I don't let them wander around the house. They lay on their beds. I let some just lay on the beds all day. Some don't kennel up anymore. Taylor over here, she hasn't been in a crate for a long time. That's her spot. She goes and lays on the bed. Shane watched these videos and liked the page is where I'm going in April. So Trevor's talking with Shane. Welcome Scott. Jeremy Andrew Shane is my brother. He is one of my pups. Excellent. Yes, I did email back. Thanks for the advice. Second session in the pen went a little better. So Jeff Trudell's, that was what it was. He emailed me about the pen. He's doing the same thing with the pen, and it sounds like second session went better. I call that a win, Jeff. Build on it. Okay, take those little victories and build on them. You said that you would keep the pup in the pen kennel unless you're able to give full attention. I have a pup the same age as Spry. We have let him have full reign of the house. Is it too late to change and keep him in his pen and kennel and do it your way? Absolutely not. Your puppy's a baby. These pups are so young. You can change. I could change everything around. I think you can always change stuff. You just got to remember that they might have habits that are already formed, and changing habits takes longer than forming habits. So, can you change it? Yes. Would I recommend it? 100%. And I do it like right now. So you might run into some struggles with it. Dog might whine. Dog might bark. It's gonna. Guarantee it's gonna. So, but it's not rewarding that with attention. So let them whine it out. As long as you know it doesn't have to go to the bathroom, put them out. Put him in the crate. Let him bark. Let him howl. Let him whine. Put him in a dark spot in another room and put a cover over it and let him settle in. But if that dog barks and whines and it's 45 minutes later and it's just screaming bloody murder and you go let it out, guess what she's going to do even harder next time? Because what she thinks got her out is that screaming and crying and making and fussing. So don't reinforce the wrong habit. But as soon as that pup shuts up and falls asleep, go wake it up and tell it how good it is. Take it outside, let it go to the bathroom, restart it. So what it'll understand is, hell, the best way to get out of here is just to shut up. Just be quiet, lay down. I think another way that makes that crate a lot more inviting is by putting it in the pen and getting them to understand that they can sleep in there and come out when they want. You just have to be paying attention to it, because when they come out, they're going to have to go to the bathroom. So that's an easy way, I think, that I've been able to get the dogs to settle in quicker in the kennels, in the crates. Sounds good. That's what I thought. Good to hear. Gonna miss you in the morning. Gotta go back to work. Mike's gotta go to work. That's life, brother. Would you use pizza for positive reinforcement? Would I use pizza? Steph says yes. She would like to have pizza for her. I'm not a treat trainer, Nick. I am using Kibble here early on, but you also saw tonight I'm starting to phase it out. So would I use pizza for positive reinforcement? trying to get a wiener dog to feel safe with us. I think that's a little bit. I think that the whole treat training thing is bribery, and I think bribery creates spoiled brats. So I avoid it. I don't think comfort food is that if that's what we're thinking about is comfort food. I don't think dogs look at things like comfort food. Steph says she loves comfort food, but so I would not use pizza as a positive reinforcement. I would maybe use a little kibble, and then I would switch it to reward of praise. The nice part about dogs are they are programmed, they're wired to make us happy. They want to make us happy. It's called biddability. Some have it more than others. Let's see. Sorry I missed the other day. Don't be sorry at all, Nick. You're in now. And the other thing is, you can always go back. You can always go back and look at these old ones. Justin joined in. Where can I get a bed like that one? Oh, I thought I kicked us off. I don't know if we kicked off or not there. You can get them on our website under apparel and gear. DogBoneHunter.com under apparel and gear. Cody Miller joined in. Lyndon's in from Canada. There, Forsberg's got it for me. Sheldon's in. Sheldon, oh boy, how's that little dog doing? Teacup is in. Found it on the website. Excellent. I recently bought. So as I scroll through these guys, I'm way behind on them, and I apologize. I'm gonna try to catch up here. Recently bought a Brittany pup that was not well socialized to people he loved. I'm assuming that's loves me to death, but is scared if everyone else. Got him a little bit late. He's 6 months old. I'm assuming, Ronald, you're wondering maybe how to go about that, or can this be changed? It can. It will take repetition and consistency to form habits. No different than any other answer I give. Not well socialized. So I've talked about this in the past in some of these live sessions. You have done a nice job, Ronald, of diagnosing the problem. Now what you need to do is work on that. So if you're a weightlifter and you have really big upper body and little chicken legs, what should you work on? You should work on your legs, not your chest. Most people like working on the stuff that they're good at, and that's where we get really out of balance. So you got a dog that's not well socialized. What's the fix to that? I think you have to find balance. Lots of socialization, probably more socialization than I would think you would need to otherwise. So I would figure out a plan. I'd figure out if you have neighbors, if you have family members that can help you with this, if you can take her to locations. I'm not sure where you're from, Ronald, but I'd figure out ways to increase the amount of socialization and make damn sure it's positive. Kids can help with this. A lot of times dogs are not intimidated by kids nearly as much as they are adults. So you got to get creative, but you know what your weaknesses are. Now you need to work on fixing them. The last thing you want with a dog that is having issues with being socialized and scared is to scare them. So it's going to be, it's probably going to test your patience, Ronald, and test your ability to work with this dog as much as anything. Thanks for a high energy dog. Would you let them burn off energy outside before you start training and working on things? Absolutely not. Not free. I would do a controlled burn off of energy, which means it's got to be under control. So I think a lot of people make a huge mistake there. Shaldig, that's a great question. A lot of people make the mistake of let the dog run. Let him just run for a while. Get him to the field, open the gate, let him run a couple miles, then he settles in, and then we can get work done. Well, I think what you're doing is conditioning in and understanding. When you do stuff like that, the dog understands the first mile or two, I just go like hell. That's the last thing I want. I want dogs to be coming out under control. So I think what you need to do is have control and let that energy be burnt. So Wild Rose talks about ramping up for training. This is where that comes in. Put the dog on a lead and go for a brisk walk. Under control. Has to have good control. That energy will be able to be released. It'll help you connect and get feel with your dog. But do not let them just run. All you're doing is programming dogs to be haywire the first 10 minutes of the hunt. I don't want that. That's how dogs get hit by cars. Let them out and you just let them run all the energy off. No control whatsoever, and boom, we're into big trouble. So that's my take on that. How can we use the pillow in the pen instead of the bed she's laying on now? So the pillow in the pen is only because I have a hard floor and it's a little cold, and she likes that little bit, that pillow. I'll keep that in there as long as we don't have issues with her chewing on it. If I got a dog that starts chewing on it, I'll take it away. I do not use chew toys. I had that question come up tonight in an email. No chew toys. Absolutely none. The person that asked it might be on right now.
And we don't put the bed in there because then she'd have free rein.
So, right. So the pillow goes in there just because that's a spot that gets her up. It's comfortable. It gets her off the cold ground, and she lays on it. But you got to remember, she gets up and off of that as she wants. So Steph just brought up the point. If I put this bed in there, and she gets on and off of it at free will, I'm eroding all of my place training because she's going, I get on and get off when I want. When she's on this bed, she's not coming off this bed. When she's on that pillow, she can come on and off that pillow all she wants. It's a completely different application. So I will let her lay on that pillow for a while, and eventually I'll move that out of there. But eventually I'll be pretty quickly. I won't be using the pen anymore. It's pretty soon she's going to get to be able to climb out of that thing. As soon as she can climb out of it, I'm not using it anymore. So I probably got maybe a week of it left before she climbs over those walls. So once the jailbreaks start, boy, I got to pull it. So John Scruggs is in. Random question, Jeremy. Do you sell those beds? We do. John, a couple guys put links to them earlier under apparel and gear on our web page. Let's see. Having a problem with my 8-week-old pup biting and nipping hands. So this is the third, I think, different person that I've had this question in the last few days. Having a problem with the 8-week-old pup biting and nipping at the hands, even when I'm trying to pet her. She also goes for pants when people walk by. Any suggestions? Yes. Stop it now. Because what we're doing is, I think it could be a couple things. That dog could be challenging. Nipping and biting on hands could be an aggression thing. It can be just, I'm not sure why they would want to do it, but they're doing it. So it's a dominance thing, I think. They're trying to show you up. And some people probably give into that pretty quickly. The other part is sometimes people put their hands out and then they pull back. And then they put their hands out and they pull back and they pull back. It turns into a game now. I'm going to try to catch that little hand. So we're actually training something into the dog that we don't want. So how do we fix it? And I think it needs to be done immediately. And I think it can be done very quickly and easily. But you have to mean it. And everyone has to mean it. So I'm not big on being physical with these dogs. I don't think you have to. I absolutely do not use shock collars. Won't use them. That's a totally another subject. But physical stuff and force with dogs, to me, doesn't make sense. I want to bring out natural traits. They've got a lot of good stuff in them. Bring it out. So when it comes to this, the scruff of the neck, right there, on her scruff of her neck is very loose. And so I treat her no different than Mom would, no different than her brothers and sisters would, no different than anyone else in her pack would if she was with a bunch of dogs. And what happens is when this little dog does something she's not supposed to do, Mom's correction is not to sit down and explain it to her. Mom's correction is not to get a paddle out and beat her. Mom's correction is she picks her up right there by the scruff of the neck and shakes her and growls. Arr. And that little dog immediately goes, don't do that. I don't want that. That's not good. I'm going to simulate Mom. So what I'll do is pick them up by the scruff of the neck, give them a slight shake, and give a growly no. No. Look at what I get out of her react. What the hell did I do? You didn't do anything, girl. You're all right. But that's what I'm going to nip that right in the bud, literally, immediately. And everyone needs to in your family. And I see such quick response to that. I don't have the issue. And if I usually don't have, I very rarely have pups that bite and nip. I think that pups biting and nipping comes from them going, I think I can get away with shit in this family. I think I can climb up in this pack and be a little bit further ahead, a little higher. And so because we don't give them the ability to feel that way, I don't see it very often. Another thing you can do, so dominance things, feeding, when you feed the dog, you eat first. So that's another thing that has nothing to do with the biting or nipping, but it simply has to do with establishing pack. So eat something before you feed the dog. The leader always eats first. At night, hold the dog so that she has to lay on her back in your arms and doesn't fight and fuss to get out. When they're older, kick your feet up and set it on top of their back. And if the dog squirms out, the dog is telling you, you're not going to be on top of me. You're not going to be dominating me. I work on drills with my dogs. I'm going to do one right now here. So this is Ellie. So Ellie's sleeping. So at night when I'm watching TV, I put my feet up on top of her, and what does she do? Look at her reaction. She actually laid over on her back, laid her ears back, put her paws up. A lot of times I'll see them lick their lips a little bit. That's a complete submission. She's saying, you're the boss. Now, try that with a dog, and if the dog squirms out, sneaks out of there real quick, no way. What they're saying to you is, in dog language, they're saying, you're not my boss. I am not letting you put your feet on me. It's disrespect. So those are things that you can work on all the time to establish where you're at with your pack. Matt Green's going to bed. I think he's an East Coaster. He's actually scared to death of my kids. Okay, so find someone that he isn't, Ronald. So what we need to do is figure out what we can do to get these pups. And that's a big one. So I would work on that. I'd work on one kid at a time. I'd work on whoever the dog is the most comfortable with. This is that dog, guys, that has some socialization issues. So whoever the dog's most comfortable with and trusts the most, feels the best with, that's who needs to be there. And then one kid at a time. And let the kids feed the dog. Let the kids be there to when the dog finally does settle down, let the kids be there to reward it and give it a little praise. And you have to, with dogs that are not well socialized, I think they have trust issues. They don't trust you. You have to earn that trust. Yeah. Steph just said make sure your kids are calm, because the environment that dog is around, it will feed off. The other day when I was all excited to go up north before I found out my sump pump was out, I was really excited and jacked up, and guess what? My dog was wired as well. They feed off of your energy, both positive and negative, fast and slow. They want to go fast, you go slow. They want to go slow, you speed them up, give them a little energy. So these kids, if these kids are involved with this, which they need to be, have them come in and explain to them how important it is for you guys to be calm, how important it is for you guys to be just relaxed, and the dog will fuel from that and feed off of that. What quality kibble are you feeding your dogs? We are currently feeding Nutro, and it is a grain-free. Let's see. I agree with the correction for biting. Works fantastic. So I'm not the only one who's done it. I appreciate that, Jay. So definitely no sleeping with them in the bed. I don't. Okay. So again, that's a real easy spot where it gets slippery, and pups all of a sudden are laying on top of us. Guess what? They're the leader. Just that simple. They become the leader. They lay on top. They're the leader. So I don't. Newman, I think Sheldon was on earlier. Sheldon has Newman. I've gotten more pictures of Newman laying on nicer furniture than I have laid on in my life. So I think that Newman left our house with understanding one set of rules. And now Newman lives in a house that there may be a different set of rules. As long as it doesn't create issues, I don't care. But what will happen is, if Sheldon calls me back and goes, I just don't understand it, things are slipping, which I don't think they will. Sheldon knows dogs, and that connect. I don't see any issues with it. But if it were to happen, one of my answers to Sheldon would be, maybe we got to get him off the furniture. Maybe we got to get him out of bed with us. Maybe we got to revisit the idea of where the pack is and where he is in your pack. So those are all things that I can't make those decisions. We all got to kind of make those decisions, but we all got to live with those decisions too. So no, I don't let him sleep with me. I will tell you one thing I used to do, and I kind of think it's good. I don't do it anymore because we just don't do it. But I used to, when I'd bring a pup home, this is when I was really young, I'd sleep with them for like the first night or two. I'd sleep with them. I think it helped us bond. I think it helped us connect. I don't do it anymore because I've realized how easy it is for dogs to bond and connect. If you give them something they're looking for, they'll grab right a hold of it. So I don't do that anymore. I'm not against the idea of it. Tried picking her up by the scruff of the neck, and she freaks out like I'm hurting her. Yeah, a good defensive mechanism. Ah! And what did you do? You probably set her down. So she's training you to set her down if that was the reaction. So if you pick her up and she squeals, just don't shake her. Just hold on to her until she's done squealing. and then set her down. And if the behavior is bad and nipping and biting, pick her right back up, because those dogs are so incredibly smart. They will train you to do like they can train you. If a dog squawks and cries in the kennel all the time, and you let them out, they're training you. They're training you to let them out. But if you pick the pup up and she squeals, oh no, if she gets set down, she's going to scream even harder and quicker next time. It's not hurting her. Guarantee it's not. Now, maybe I don't know how hard you're picking her up, but if you're just simply grabbing her by the scruff of the neck, like this, and picking her up, pretty relaxed, that's not hurting her. Now, if I coupled that, she's probably wondering, what was that for? Like, why did you do that, Dad? Now, if I coupled that with an aggressive growl, no, she will go, holy balls, he means it. If I couple that with a little bit of a shake, she'll really understand it. See that licking of the lips? Complete submission. Right there. See that? So if you look at your dogs, and here's another thing you can do. You can have staring contests. Don't ever lose. If you look at your dogs and you make eye contact with them and you look away first, they just said, ha, I'm above you. So I'll stare at dogs until they look away. And a lot of these dogs, when I look at them, they look away almost immediately because they go, he's the boss. He's the boss. And I don't have to get very aggressive with them. I don't have to raise a hand to them. I earn their respect. I earn their trust. But there's all these little things that we can do to practice that dominant stuff. Have a little staring contest with them and see who wins. Because dogs that stare you down and don't look away until you look away, they're showing you who the boss is. You got to learn to speak their language a little bit. Let's see. How many dogs do you have normally? Normally we're between probably 5 or 6. Right now we're down to 4. But we're going to be getting some pups. So we just had a couple pups go home. Hey Jeremy, do you cover your kennels with a blanket or do you leave them uncovered when the dogs are in it? I will cover it to help them settle down. I think sometimes that helps calm them down. I think you gotta be careful with the cover because they'll pull the stuff right through the little gaps, and I've ruined plenty of jackets doing that. But so yes, I do cover them, especially early on, just to make sure they settle into it. Struggling to get my 10-year-old pup, 10-week-year-old. I'm struggling to get my 10-week-year-old pup to come on command consistently. So I don't know if you got a 10-week or a year-old or a 10-year-old. Let me know, Seth. Clarify that for me first. On command consistently, mainly when she's on her leash outside. Any ideas how to get her to come more consistently and call? Do what I'm doing with this pup right now. You can't start recall work outside because there's too many distractions and you will fail. So you have to set it up in a spot that it will work, and then you form the habit, and then you transfer that to a new location until you get the same result in all the different locations. And eventually, so you had mentioned something about on leash, mainly when she is on her leash. If she's on her leash, you probably shouldn't have an issue with it, I wouldn't think. But so if you have a dog that you can't get to come back to you, don't let them go. Change the scenario. So I've got dogs that sometimes I struggle with recall with them. So I put them on a leash and I heel them out. I let them go to the bathroom and I heel them back in. I eliminate all potential for issues when it comes to recall until we get better. And eventually we'll get better at it. And then I'm hopefully off and running with recall. But it takes steps, and I have to learn. She's got to do it inside before she can do it outside. Nicole, appreciate you guys following. Love the dominance tips. You bet, man. I'm running out of my voice here. All these little things are just pack mentality, guys. You gotta understand how these things tick, and they're not gonna adjust to us. We have to adjust to them. So I think a lot of times trainers try to figure out ways to get dogs to start thinking like people, and it isn't gonna happen. So I've done the scruff grabbing, and my Catahoula starts peeing everywhere and crying. Do I still hold by the scruff until he stops? Yeah. So how old? Question is, how old is the pup? I think you could maybe I don't know what it looks like, but you can. Here's the thing. I always talk about finding the right level of correction. I would rather start out low and work up until I get the reaction, and then start working back down. If we holler at our dogs all the time, they think that's how we talk. So when I holler at them, I don't get any reaction out of them. So I act very, very. I talk real light and real low and minimal to dogs, in order to get just enough to get reaction, and then I try to back it off, constantly back it off. So I don't know if you're maybe you're too hot to begin with. Maybe it's too much to begin with. So Josh, is the scruff of the neck thing what are we trying to stop? Are we trying to stop the biting? Are we trying what are we trying to fix? But what I'm going to say without seeing any of this stuff is back it off a little bit. Just don't be so. Back it off as long as you get a reaction you want, and then try to gauge it back from there. But so a couple questions I guess are on age and what we're correcting them for. Seth, 10 weeks. So Seth's question was before. Okay, 10-week-old on command recall. That's exactly where this dog is right now. So you need to be doing what we're doing, which is just getting them to come to you in an area that's enclosed in a 10-foot space. If you can't get them to come in a 10-foot space, you won't get them to come in a 100-foot space. So incremental training, and then we're going to work up to being able to do it outside. I had a dog that was doing it pretty well until this week, and then she didn't come for me. So now I said, I better start working on that. The Smiths from Michigan, with this dog's twin sister, will be sending me a picture, because he had the same issue. And he'll be sending me a picture of what we talked about, how to fix that. So he had to get creative, and he built a situation that's going to allow for him to have success. Love watching your videos. Your wealth of knowledge is unreal. I'll tell you what, man. There are so many good trainers out there. I'm trying to learn every day and get better. I know there's a lot of improvement. I learn a lot of stuff. I learn more learning from all these different dogs, and so I really appreciate that. Don't just take one guy's word. I think you got to take a bunch of our guys' words, and gals' words for that matter, and figure out what works best for you. You have an 8-year-old golden retriever who's a great dog, lucked out with her, but gonna retain as much as possible. Anyways, just wanted to say thanks. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate that. I really do. Josh Ziegler, 10 weeks. So you got this Catahoula that's 10 weeks. So little pup. I mean, real little pup. So same thing, no different. So sometimes we get these little dogs that they get fear. They get this little reaction where they pee when they get scared. They pee when they get scared. So lighten up a little bit. And I'm not saying you're being too hard, but back up a little bit to get what you want, but not what you don't want. So you have to find that fine-tuning, Josh. You're going to have to figure that out. How old should a dog be before we start hold training? So I don't know if it's dictated so much, Matt. Good question. Brooke's in. Welcome, Brooke. I don't know, Matt, if it's dictated so much by age as it is where you're at with their training. The last dogs that I did hold conditioning for was Ellie and her sister Kimber. And if you watch back on some of our old videos, we filmed those live. So we did a complete series of hold conditioning with 2 sisters. And they were different personalities, obviously same genetics and everything, but different personalities. So they were about 11 or they were probably 12, 13 months old. That's a lot later than I normally do, but the reason I didn't was it was just a timing thing, and when you do your hold conditioning, it's a commitment. It's going to take a couple weeks, and I didn't have the time to do it, so I didn't. I put it off. And the one thing that I got away with was my dogs had a real natural delivery. These dogs did not drop bumpers. They came. Part of that is because when they were little, I helped set up for a good delivery, and I'm going to show you that with Spry when we start training. I'm going to show her on early retrieves on how to make your hold conditioning go easier. So it's planning ahead. But I didn't have any issues that warranted or needed hold conditioning until that point. And at that point, I had Kimber, and she ran off with some bumpers. she went and picked him up. She came back to me, and then she made a little victory lap, and she wanted to go and show it off to everywhere in the yard. And I said at that moment, I can't do that anymore. So we stopped retrieving. We went through hold conditioning, and now we don't have any issues with it. So I don't know that it's an age thing. I think you need to get through teething. They have to teeth. So that happens usually between 4 and 6 months. When I say teeth, I don't mean getting puppy teeth. I mean they lose their puppy teeth and get their adult teeth. So anywhere after, say, 7 months is usually safe. But you can put it off. I put it off till 13, 14 months. But I was able to do that because I didn't have a lot of bad habits. So that's my answer to the hold conditioning and when we do it. Brooke says hi. Looks like that is all the questions, guys. We've dropped off. We're still holding tight around 30 people, so that's great.
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys for watching. I want to ask you guys to do me a favor and share this. I think it's way better. Every one that we've done has gotten better. So as far as interaction and people being involved, I think the way to grow that is by sharing it. So I'm going to ask that favor of you. There's a distraction. Now she might have to go to the bathroom because she was sleeping and now she woke up. So I'm going to probably get her outside. I have to ask one more question. At what age do you start heel training? Not till after I tie them out. And I start tying them out after they're able to jump out of that pen. So that will be coming. I think they got to be a little bit bigger. I'm going to flip this around. I think they got to be a little bit bigger to be able to take that pressure to the neck. The reason we tie them out is because we're going to have them understand that they're going to have to give to some pressure to the neck. So that'll be coming after. Follow along with us and you'll see Spry doing it. And the struggles, I'm going to have some struggles with it because it's cold and it's winter and it's hard for me to tie dogs out in the cold and winter. So I might have to get creative and figure out ways to tie them out maybe in my basement. And so I'll have to do some things differently than I normally would if it were summer or if it were not winter time. So that's it, guys. I think another good one. Great Sunday night to you guys. The rest of you, we'll be back tomorrow morning. Probably not going to be live. I'm out of town tomorrow morning, heading up to the Northwoods. So for a business meeting. I wish it were more fun, but so I won't be going tomorrow morning live. I will be back and we'll do it tomorrow night. So that doesn't mean that we're not training. She's still going to get fed, and what I'll maybe ask Steph to do is when they feed her, maybe take a picture. They don't have to necessarily, I'm not going to ask her to make her go live, but we'll get a picture. So just because you don't see us doing this doesn't mean we stop doing it. Got to be consistent with it. So thank you guys for all the thumbs. I love it when you guys do that. Like I said, it just keeps me going. So it gives me energy. All right, guys, have a great night, and we'll take on this week again. She's going to be 10 weeks on Friday, so I better get my ass moving. You guys take care. We'll talk soon.